Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Fascination Street with me, Jimmy.
And me, Mika Pearson.
And as always, monitoring the chat room and all the questions is producer Sarah.
Evening, guys.
Right. So here we are, another one. Starting our new episode, our new series this evening, which is going to be our beginner's guide. And we're really, really, really proud to have the lady with us this evening. We'll get to meet Kat in just a moment. But as always, Mika, how's your week been?
It's actually been really excellent. Even though it's been another week of school, it's been really good.
Yeah, but what's the best thing about it now? No school. No school. How long? How long's no school for?
15 days.
And during the middle of that, I also have a week ashore at home with Mika. So we've got 8 days of pure boy chaos. Let's bump that.
Let's trash the house. Mum.
Also, what else has been very, very cool this week?
I got Domino's yesterday.
Well, that is, yeah, but why did you get Domino's pizza? Tell everyone why you got Domino's pizza.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I got a medal. Hang on.
Take up nice and close so everyone can see it. Right there.
And this medal is for my friendship,
behaviour,
good work,
and citizenship.
So then what it says on the back, actually carved in, it says Achievement Award Spring Term 2019. What's that? Oh.
On the side, here's one we prepared earlier. Obviously, we're very, very, very ready for this.
We are brilliant at organising. Trust me, our house is brilliant at organising. We've got robots and everything to organise it.
It's called Mum.
So there we go. Do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, go on in.
So, St Mary's Church of England Primary School, End of Term Achievement Award, April 2019 for excellence in behaviour, learning and citizenship. Mika Pearson. The boy's done well. The boy has done well.
And not just that, what's really important at the bottom is that it is signed by Miss Shaw. And it says Miss Shaw, head of the school. Head of school, it says. Instead of head of the school.
Right. So there we go. He's had a good week. Mine hasn't been that exciting.
Seems you didn't get any Dominoes.
All right. Oh, but I did get. I got this week a fantastic copy of UFO Photo by our very, very good friend Jason Gleaves.
Yay!
Personally signed as well. And we're gently making our way through it. And today, when I got home, I don't have it with me. I also have a copy of Without Consent by our good friend and next week's guest, Philip Mantle from Flying Disc Press. So, it's been a bit of a result of a week for everyone involved. So, should we get on with the show?
I mean, if you want to, I don't mind.
Sarah, shall we get on with the show?
Let's do it.
Dougie, should we get on with the show? Right, okay. So without further ado, let's do the bio thing. Are we sitting comfortably, children? Then I shall begin. So, with over a decade of work in the field of the paranormal, although she has had experiences her entire life, Kat is an investigator with SCARE, Spirit Communications and Research of Alabama, located in Birmingham, as well as CASPIR, Central Alabama Society for the Paranormal Investigators and Research in Pell City, Alabama. She has been featured on Coast to Coast AM radio, guested on Detroit Unplugged, Paranormalities, that took some saying, and Pondering's Dead Zone Paranormal Radio Show, The Paranormal Pride, Half Past Dead Radio, and Beyond the Grave YouTube show. In addition to helping residential clients, she has separately investigated many haunted locations, including the Sorrel-Weed House, Pensacola Lighthouse, St. Augustine Lighthouse, Pioneer Saloon, Sloss Furnaces, the York House Inn. I used to drink in a pub called the York House. Key West Lighthouse, the Barrel House Distillery, the Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, Fort Morgan, the Thomas House, Mansfield Reformatory, East State Penitentiary, the Old Paulding Jail, Moon River Brewery, the Old War Memorial Hospital, explored the Queen Mary, although not a formal investigation, and was on the only team allowed to investigate overnight in abandoned hospitals in the Birmingham metro area.
Abandoned hospitals are real scary.
Is there anything you haven't done?
I have not leapt from an airplane at this point.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kat Hobson. She is our guest, and she is also kickstarting Fascination Street's Beginner's Guide. Kat, thank you so much for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. It really is. We've been really looking forward to this so much.
I have been too. I'm so excited to be here. And Mika,
we've lost
you. Really good. Well done.
Oh, we've lost you, Kat.
I don't know why. Everything appears to be functioning properly. But
there we go.
Okay.
And you're back.
Yay!
Yep. Oh, no. Yep. Sorry, sometimes it does this. We're good with it,
okay.
though.
It's okay.
So,
as long as it works during the questions, right?
Yeah, right. Well, preferably if it worked through the whole show, that would be amazing.
That would be a marvelous thing. But I was
Everything is
simply
crossed.
saying, well done, you, Mika. What a fantastic week you had.
I know, I'm brilliant. I'm excellent.
I'm Dan after my own heart.
And he's so humble too. He's so humble.
But you know what? When you're outstanding, that outstanding, maybe you don't need to be. Just let it out.
To be honest, I'm smarter than my dad. Smarter than my
I don't know.
True
He had a
story.
pretty good week too.
Yeah.
He has some excellent stuff.
Now on the sea.
That is an excellent week. It doesn't get much better than that, right?
I know, right?
Yeah.
That was excellent.
So, Kat, how did you get into the paranormal subject? What really brought you into it?
Well, I was very fortunate that when I was young, I would have things happen and I didn't know what it was. I thought it was normal. And my grandmother, who was New Age before there was a New Age, recognized things that happened. And such as, when she was trying to read to go to bed, I would go, oh, you have to turn off the light. It is hurting my eyes. Having nothing to do with it. So she was like, you don't have, oh, okay. So as I came through, I would have what I just wrote off as deja vu, but it was constant. And it actually saved my life a time or two. So Thank you to the universe for that. But when I started to pay attention was when I lived in a house that had noises, and I thought that was normal also. Then I started watching ghost hunters after all these years of experiencing things, and the things that they said they were looking for were things that I had experienced. And I was just kind of like, well, that's interesting because I don't think those were ghosts. Surely those weren't ghosts. And turns out they probably were. I did not know what my gifts were until I was kind of tested. I had other things happen, and with the deja vu thing, I was part of a study in Winchester, Tennessee, and when the EEGs, when you wouldn't fall asleep while they were doing them because you have to be in a darkened room with sensory deprivation and all this, that, and the other, so you get sleepy. But they showed some activity when I would be like feeling things or seeing things. And it was weird because I didn't really understand any of that until fairly recently, and I'm trying to get back in touch with that doctor to say, why didn't you fully explain that to me? Right?
Yeah, it's your fault,
I
man.
could have
It's
been
your
helping
fault.
But anyway, I'm just me. And I started looking for people to investigate with that did not care that much about being on a television show, that just wanted to do investigations. I did not hit that jackpot the first time around. So I left. And the teams that I work with now are not so much the emotional side, the physical side of investigation, as especially Casper is more trying to devise methodologies to use and actually recording anomalies in the environment, hoping to document scientifically that there are changes occurring when psychics or sensitives on the team are feeling something as well.
Right.
So it's pretty cool.
So what type of things do you do during an investigation? Because I don't know if many of our audience have watched, because I mean I've watched many paranormal investigation documentaries and things like this. But what type of things do you actually do for people that have no idea what a paranormal investigation is?
Well, the first thing is to research the location you're going to. I don't mean like listen to the people that live there tell you about all the things that are scaring them, but to research the property and the home. If you can, their property deeds and land deeds and such as that. Then usually the person that's doing the intake has already spoken with the client, so they have an idea of the activity going on. And then we do a walkthrough at the home, if it's a home. And I can kind of feel where activity is happening.
Yeah.
And if not, there's all kinds of devices that people swear to goodness actually, will detect a ghost. I don't think most of them do.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best tool that you have is your body and a digital voice recorder, because you do sometimes capture voices that you didn't hear while that was happening to you, around you. And that's my favorite kind of evidence.
Yeah, I have some friends. I don't know if they're watching. If they are, hello Nikki, hello Amy, and they run a paranormal investigation group. And I actually work with them on board my ship. And Nikki came back a little while ago with an investigation they'd done, and she played me this clip on her cell phone, and you could hear this. I can't remember exactly what it was, the guy, but you could hear this voice, and it said something clear as day. It really, really was.
What was it?
It's something called EVP, darling, which is it
Radio Ken?
No, is it
electronic voice phenomenon?
There we go. Thank you. And sometimes what it is people will use you can probably do it like use your phone, because that has an audio voice recorder. And what that does is, if you have it in an investigation and you have it on while you're going around, it can pick up things that you won't hear. So when you get home, you can put your headphones on, you can listen to it, unless, of course, it's really clear. Do you remember we were listening to Art Bell, and they had those people on, and they were listening to those noises, and you said, what were they? They were EVPs, and these are apparently the voices of the spirit that's there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like me, it's like you, I, and Kat. Like, we're speaking to each other as well. I mean, sometimes maybe they're a bit lonely, and they want to hi. So
they enjoy being part of the conversation.
Absolutely, because
it's just also confusing at the same time, because hang on, I haven't been much in this type of subject, and I've never really touched on it, because first it used to creep me out, and second of all, like, I usually came across the videos and they scared the daylight out of me.
And that's why we had Kat with us, because Kat is by far one of the most experienced people on the subject, and that's why she's given us the information on the beginner's guide.
Thank you.
That's all right. So yeah, EVPs. I think, did I explain that well enough, or would you like to elaborate a little bit more?
Fantastic job. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there are many forms out there. I mean, some of the ones that I heard on Art Bell, some of them sounded a little bit sketchy, but some of them, because I can't remember the name of the investigation team that he had on, but he had them on a few times, and they brought EVPs with them that were very, very, very clear. Have you ever captured anything like that yourself, Kat, during your investigations?
I have, and I actually have them in my Google Drive. I don't know if that would play through my system since I'm on this microphone, but I will send some to you, and you can try them later if you would like.
That'd be great. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's really kind of a neat thing because you don't really anticipate that that's happening around you. You know, you can feel the energy of activity of some type, you know, changing the energy level around you. But I was actually in a place that's known to be haunted and has a reputation for that. And it's so far not let me down. But it's not something that I've ever had really that great of evidence when I was taking somebody for the first time there. So I was just like, oh, listen to this. It's so amazing. I was excited to be able to send it to them. And, you know, I carry digital video recorders.
Yep.
That's fun because I have caught evidence with them as well. But just a plain voice recorder is what I caught that EVP, that particular EVP on. But they're all around you. And sometimes they're an intelligent reply to a question that you've asked. So Mika, if you're somewhere and you feel like, you know, oh, there's somebody here, you can just say, who are you?
There you go.
And on your phone is a fantastic digital camera, a fantastic digital voice recorder, and also a fantastic video recorder. The new phones are amazing for that.
Absolutely.
So it's like telepathy.
It's a bit like that when you can feel that things are around you, because you're quite sensitive to a lot of things.
I
am. We've established that a long time ago.
What keeps on happening is like everything happens to me. Not mum, not dad, none of my family.
Well, no.
It just happens to me.
We notice things and that, but obviously we don't say a great deal about it because obviously it's just normal, isn't it? When you're a sensitive person and you pick up on certain things, it's just commonplace for you. You know, I mean, like gut feelings and things like that. I mean,
you do. And I think that spirits know people who are. I think spirits recognize people who will know they're there also.
Absolutely.
And they choose to reach out to them.
Yeah, I mean, we used to have someone that used to play about with the electricals in the house before Mika came along. But it's weird because the house that I live in, my best friend died when I was 21.
I'm sorry.
But he was actually born in this house.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah.
Wait, you didn't go to hospital?
No, he was born in this house. He was actually born in your bedroom. Yeah.
I'm special.
Yeah, you are. You're very special. But no, it's absolute true story. I've got pictures that his children gave me of him sat out in our garden as a young man. On top of our lounge, we have a bay window in our lounge, and his bedroom used to be above that. And outside, on top of the window, it's lead, and there's carvings that him and his brother put in there when they were like 14 years old and things like that. So that was pretty cool. So we was always convinced that it was kind of like him here, and obviously messing about with the electricals, turning things on and off. It would have been his sense of humor 100%. So we were pretty convinced.
That is so cool. And if you're going to lose him at such a young age, at least he can still let you know he's around.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing as well is he was just sort of, it was always a prankster anyway. So it's something that I would, and it never really freaked us out, did it? We'd just be like, right, Fred, sort it out, just stop it now, and then that's it. And then a little while later, you know, maybe another day, couple of days down the line, something weird had happened with the electricals again. It'd be like, right, okay, you mess it. But then that brings it on to the other point as well. The electricals, the energy, the vibration, the frequency has absolutely everything there in those three things to make a spirit. Is that correct?
Well, it's pretty much. But that is also something that, you know, vibration, energy, frequency all come together and create like a perfect storm of an environment for things to reach out to you. So, you know, you get the vibration in there also. And I just think it's very fascinating. I do. I love this. I love the science side of this. But the spiritual, what a friend of mine, yeah, hey science guy, says is the woo-woo side. Okay. That is, I'm kind of based on in both worlds personally. I find them interesting. And I enjoy conducting experiments and seeing the results. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's
But
why
they'll
I'm kind of
utilize what you give them. I'm sorry.
that's all right. You carry on.
But they'll utilize whatever you offer them to communicate. Whether I thought that a friend of mine was nuts when he brought bells, like little jingle bells, to an investigation. But it was in an old grist mill. And he was like, well, they're old school. Nobody's been here working for decades. So maybe they'll recognize that they can move these bells. I'm like, well, yeah, but it's not going to be positive because there's drafts. And he's
Yeah,
like,
right.
don't rain on my parade. I think it's a good idea. It was a great idea. And this is a guy who's so science-based that he just sometimes misses the nuances. And I was so excited that he had stepped into that fray where he was taking a venture off of the electronics and, you know, hard evidence type things to open a passage for communication.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it many times on many shows that we've done off subject with like regards to sort of like making contact with sort of like, you know, the star beings and star people. The way we're going about doing it, sending out old analog radio transmissions and things like that, is just totally not the way to go. And you know, that idea was brilliant. I mean, where we live, we have, I mean, I don't know if you know anything about the town that I live in, but I mean, we've had settlements like here since the Bronze Age. We had a massive Roman garrison here. There was a massive massacre just outside of my hometown in like 53 BC when the Romans landed here. We also have like one of the most prestigious castles in the whole of the UK, about a mile away from our house. You can actually see it when you walk out of our house and look down the road. I'll send you a picture of that because it's brilliant.
Yes, please do. That's so cool.
But all the way through the years, there was always sort of like, I think it was 1160 or 1164, there was a massive siege from the French on this castle. Again, other battles during the Second World War, because we're the closest town to mainland Europe, we took so much shelling from the French shores and the German guns that our actual town was known as Hellfire Corner. And most of our town was totally destroyed by the Germans.
Because if you look on the Google Maps and you search in, what is it? It shows you all the red marks where they were bombed.
Oh, no, that was a map that I've got.
Yeah, and all you could see on our street was red dot, red dot, red.
Yep. Pretty
much our whole street was just filled with red dots.
Yeah. So about 10 doors up from my house, because we also live in one of the longest terraced houses, streets in the UK. We were in the Guinness Book of Records at one point, but like 10 doors up from where we live now, we have a set of flats there, but that was bomb site during the Second World War. So like as a small child, was like growing up playing on old like bomb sites and things like that. And also up behind us, we have a massive network of Napoleonic fortresses.
Really? Oh my word.
Absolutely. I'll send you some bump after the show because there's where I live is pretty cool and there's a lot of activity here. You downloaded an app, didn't you? You got an app from, was it Shadows of Your Mind magazine? Which
Yes.
shows you where paranormal activity has been and the reports done on it and stuff like that.
That's correct.
But
Have you got the name of the app?
But whatever you do not get an app with the ghost tracker
Yeah.
because it'll upset the ghosts.
Yes, that is a definite. Thank you, Mika, because that's important. So many people use those, and they're for entertainment purposes only, kind of like the ghost shows on television. It's for entertainment. And
but what I did wrong was I installed one because I thought it was real.
Oh.
And then to realise that, like, there's this little girl that's going, la, 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 and just doing that. And then it says she's like 300 years old. And I'm just like, so how is she a little girl?
Yeah, but that's,
how is she a little girl? She's 300 years old.
but you don't age, darling. We'll get into that in a little while. But that little girl was like,
it's a great question, though.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, because
In fact,
it's not unrealistic to think that. Which app were you using, Mika?
It has a little ghost on the front, and then it has like a little scanner, green scanner going round.
Ghost radar?
Ghost detector.
Ah.
You never told me that.
Yeah, I used to install apps like that. So I used to go around the house, literally searching for ghosts.
You'll be looking through somebody's phone.
Yeah, I think we
That
will be looking
use-
through the phone.
No, tablet. That's it. That's one. Tablet. Look,
The things you find out in a live show, it's unreal.
I used tablet. I uninstalled
The
it in
thing-
like a couple of days' time.
But that's it. So Kat, while Sarah's looking through bits and pieces, what type of spirits are there out there?
There are various kinds. The primaries are, well, they're hauntings. You have intelligent, which are active spirits who are aware of their surroundings and aware that you're there and will communicate and are actively caring for whatever reason for their environment, in my opinion. That's why they're there. You have residual, which is basically like an energy signature. The area that you're in, having seen so much action, perhaps you would have sentries, you would have people that would have to run when the sirens went off every night, that kind of thing. You would have perhaps chaos as residual experiences in that situation. We have an old Civil War fort down south of where I live, and there are sentries. You can hear footsteps, you can hear people on watch, and that's kind of cool. But that would be a case of residual energy. There's also active intelligent hauntings there as well. And I have some notes, but you have apparitions, which is where something comes forward and allows you to see it. You have disembodied voices, which is something fairly new to me because I used to try actively not to hear them. Mm-hmm. I walked into a place one time and was the only person in the building that I knew of in that area. And as I walked through a doorway, something said, "Hi there." And I turned around to find the person to, right? And I said, "Well, hello." And I looked over my shoulder and there was no one there. And I looked the other way and there was no one there. And I was like, and I was there to do an investigation. So I knew that the odds were great that it was somebody I was there to talk to. And I said, well, thank you. I don't have any equipment with me. So unless you speak so I can hear you again, you're going to have to wait till tonight, you know.
Brilliant.
And it was cool because I did get EVPs there that night. You have apparitions, you have elementals. Different people have different opinions about elementals. I believe that they are like little supernatural beings whose job it is to literally protect the earth, the environment around them, and nature. There are a lot of people that think that they're negative, that they're like, you know, the negative side of imps and fairies and things of that nature, which are pretty negative in their own right as a rule.
Yeah.
But I think an elemental is simply what it sounds like. They are the most basic of spirits, and they are there to guard the environment. So we had a case where a woman was shooting fox from her porch and having them taxidermied to go in her home, and wondered why she was getting activity around her. And I'm like, you can't do that and be out and about, you know, without repercussions, because that's not playing fair. So you have to be the person that you would like to come across. You can't just go willy-nilly. But there are angels. Angels are the real deal. They are spiritual beings. And I think that they are there to protect. I've never had an experience that said an angel was anything but a protector. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. You have the negative side of that too. You're going to have the yin and the yang for everything.
Of course.
But I think that the negative gets overpowered often by the positive. Everybody has a role to play.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, like, so you've got all these different types. Is there anything which can really kind of create that? I mean, is any of these stuck to sort of like certain kind of environment? I mean, obviously you've touched on the elementals and things like that, because I mean, like, there's also another one which is quite a big one, which is the shadow people.
yes, I don't think that people get so wigged out about shadow people.
Yeah.
And I have seen I've seen figures, but I've never captured one, so I don't have evidence to support that I've seen them. Right. And I don't like to do things without having backup. But the first time I saw something that was a shadow, an intelligent shadow, but it was not human form, was in an old hospital on a surgical ward. And it happened to be the hospital I had been born in. So I was really excited to be investigating there.
Yeah.
So, and yes, I am old enough that the hospital that I was born in is defunct. So we're done with that. But anyway, it was so much fun because my friend, who is computer data oriented, very slow to react, was in front of me. And she had the flashlight, and I had my night vision camera walking behind her. And I was filming down the hallway, and I saw the motion. And I said, would you shine your light here, please? And she did, and it was like it was up against the door, and it was at the end of a corridor, and there were doors on either side too. But it was up there, and I was like, oh, yeah, you could just see oh no. And it looked like it melted, right? It melted, and it went down, and it went through the door to the right, to its right. Wow. And so I heard, and I was so excited because I did not act like an idiot. One of us went, ah. And I said, would you please lower your light and do that again? And of course, there was nothing there. And I was so excited. So they don't have to be people. Yeah. Okay. They can just be spirits milling about. And, there's a thing that we do, pareidoia, that we try to create order out of chaos. You do it audibly and you do it visually. So I don't know that sometimes spirit people, shadow people aren't that, or they aren't floaters, like as your eyes age, that kind of thing. But I know I saw that shadow and it moved. So I thought that was fascinating, but I don't think they're harmful. I do. Maybe they don't have the energy to create a full manifestation for you to see all of them. Maybe that's the easy way to do it, like the infamous woman in white that is everywhere, and they're always in a white dress. And maybe that's what they think ghosts are supposed to look like, so they present that way.
Yeah. I mean, we have where we are here, about 3.5 miles away, we have a woodland, and it is very, very well known for the old grey lady.
Yes.
I don't know. Are you familiar with the old grey lady?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, apparently she sort of like stemmed from the town that I'm from, and she's out there looking around for like whoever killed her.
Right.
So, I mean, I done a podcast well over a year ago on this woods, which is about 3.5 miles out of town. And the history of that woods is ridiculous. It really is. It has like a
In what
church.
way?
Well, it has a church in the middle of the woods, but all the stones are on the inside of the church. Throughout the 80s and earlier, there was apparently certain practices going on within
Oh,
that.
yes.
There was a child that was lost down the well. I think that was during the mid 60s. Again, this is where that massacre took place that I was telling you about in 53 BC. And then obviously the old grey lady there. There was a horseman that used to rob people there as well. And on the entrance to the woods, there was a place called the Lynch, and it was just a row of trees where anyone that was found guilty of crimes in our town would be taken out and they'd actually be hung on this row of trees.
Gracious. What a history.
Yeah, absolutely. Sadly, I'm just surrounded by it. I can't, it's bad times.
It's not the best, definitely.
You're right.
Yeah, right. From the chat room, we have someone saying that something about Michael Jackson. Now, that is exactly what I was about to touch on, because there was this interview on there, and it was on the news, and that was really old. And they were,
Yeah.
and then there was like loads of in Michael Jackson's mansion, and his brother was interviewing it in the mansion, and then he was talking about the doors closing, and then as the camera moves down, you can see a figure actually walking past the door, actually just walking like nothing's ever happened.
Did it respond to?
It looks weird how the footage, how slow it is, and it's like, and that's it. You could only see that just walking normally.
Did it act like it knew that it was being filmed? Did it act like it knew the people were there?
I don't think it even realised. It was just walking normally. Didn't even look down there like that. It was just walking normally forward, straight down the hall.
Where did you watch that?
That would probably be residual. That would probably be somebody who was going on about the same business of like their energy stamp. Like you put a date stamp on something. Very similar.
Right. Sarah's just passed me her phone, and the name of that app is Ghost Excursions.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one.
It was what was it? Was it on special?
Yeah.
It was on special in our friend's magazine, Shadows of Your Mind. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one, Kat.
Link is in the
I
description.
am.
Yeah, the link will be in the description as well. But yeah, that was one of the apps that they were promoting. I won't say promoting, it's not advertising.
Well, no, it was in a column.
Oh, it was in a column.
It was in a column with the address and how to get the app. So, yeah.
Cool. Right. When it comes to you doing your investigations and anything, obviously we know that we have good spirits and we have bad spirits. Is there anything you do before you go into a certain location? Do you have like a team huddle? Do you kind of give each other protection? Do you do anything like that, Kat?
Well, I do. I'm a firm believer in protection, and not everyone is. Both teams that I work on are very diverse. So there's not really a lot of people of the same faiths there. So everybody has their own thing to do. And I pray. I have a cross that's been blessed that I try to always have on me. I also have a rosary that's blessed, that's my backup, that's in my ghost equipment bag, because I don't want to bring anything home with me either. But yes, and that's happened before. That's never boring. But definitely prayer and sage before you leave. That's what we do with spirit communications and research. We do sage before we leave an investigation normally ourselves. And I just think that intent, because there are certain things that do help. I'm a firm believer in the Lord's Prayer. Yeah. And I invoke that and say it. And I also think that when you are trying to cleanse a home, as you're saging, I like frankincense and myrrh because I think that's a very powerful combination. And it smells so good. But I think that, but it is a powerful cleansing agent. And I just think that, only negative, absolutely has to leave. Nothing negative can stay here. And the protection thing I think is important because I don't want to bring anything home with me again. And since I started doing that, I haven't.
That's right. And it's important to stress that, the paranormal is something you do not ever play around with, no matter what, no matter how much you think it is, how much you kind of, well, let's do this because it seems fun. It's just something that you don't mess about with. Isn't that correct?
You, one of the rules are you let the dead rest.
Yeah.
That is one of the rules that will always stand. Christian or not, that is one of the rules.
Yeah. I agree.
You cannot allow that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you as well.
I would never go seeking to create activity. And I've been someplace that someone had gone, I guess maybe the day before, and the location I was in, I'd never had anything negative happen whatsoever. I had taken someone there to teach them how to use equipment and to ghost hunt. And it was obvious someone had been there casting and, conjuring and did not clean up after themselves, as it were. And it was very disconcerting because someone with me was scratched. I was very shocked because that was not the normal activity there. So by conjuring, by calling something to you, you are disturbing the dead. That's my opinion. Everybody has opinions. But I don't think anything positive can come from trying to invoke spirits to come to you. I think if someone is already there, there's a reason they're there. And you try to help them, if you can, with that reason. I do not cross spirits anymore. I used to think that I was helping and doing favors and, going in and saying, go to the light, you've got to do this. It's so much better for you. Well, who am I to know? As a friend of mine who happened to be a voodoo priestess, voodoo queen, told me one day, she said, how do you know you're helping them? Why are you doing that? And she was very harsh with me. And I was like, well, it has to be helpful. Nobody wants to stick around here. They have afterlife reward they're going to in my faith? And, why would you do that?
Yeah, of course.
And I pondered that for a while. And I thought, you know what? I don't even know how to take care of everything on this side of the plane, right? Who am I to think that I can go and just give somebody who's already over there ideas? They know what they're dealing with. So you have to not be too presumptuous and not get cocky. And I did both.
Sorry, after you, sweet.
What?
After you. Sorry, I cut you off there.
Oh, I just said that I had done both, gotten presumptuous, and I felt that I was a bit cocky because I could help them cross. And I don't think I ever really helped anybody with that. I think it's not our place to do that.
No.
And if they want to go, they're going to go. They don't need us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we were saying earlier about like you taking like stuff home, I mean, that was one of the questions that I wanted to ask. Is it possible to take spirits with you? Do they follow you? Say, for instance, you were in a house that had some kind of activity, you didn't like it, you moved to another house. I mean, is it possible that they can come with you as well?
It depends on if they're attached to that location or if they're attached to you. And they can be attached to you like a familial relationship.
Yeah.
Or they just thought, oh, wow, this person's here and they're chatting me up. Perhaps. I know they said I couldn't go home with them, but what do they know? I had that happen to me at a fort, at a Civil War site. And it never dawned on me that that's what was creating the activity in my home until my younger daughter. Yes. I mean, there was cigarette smoke in my house when nobody had been there to smoke, and I don't. There were things that were moving, being moved, not visually moving in front of me, but they were displaced. There were electrical issues that were happening. And my younger daughter looked at me one day and she said, you have got to stop bringing your work home. And I was like, I probably did. So I went into another room and I closed the door and I just sat down and I just kind of got still and quiet, and the room got still and quiet. And I said, you know what? I hope you know how to get back where you came from. But every time I leave a location, I explain that you can't come with me. And that's another practice I have. You can't come with me because my home is my sanctuary and you're not welcome there. So what I said in this instance was, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So have a nice life and afterlife. And, you're banished from my home in the name of Christ. And so he left. But I thought that was so funny because it had never dawned on me that it was that spirit. So
spirits attracted to the living. That's.
We've never been to an abandoned place. Never in our life.
Well, then it all depends how you look at abandoned, sweetheart. We've been up to the big fortress up there.
That's not abandoned. I mean, like evacuated. I'm talking roundabout like that.
All right, I'm with you. Okay.
But we've never been something like that.
I mean, I have during my young years because I used to go out ghost hunting when I was a teenager. Obviously, I haven't told you things like this.
Obviously, that's a new idea.
Yeah, no, we used to go out quite a lot. Again, the woods that I aforementioned earlier, Oxney Bottom. We used to go out there. We used to bundle in a friend's car and try and get as many people as you could in there and get out early hours of the morning and just walk around with like one of the old flash cameras, just clicking at everything, hoping that you kind of get something. And
did you ever?
No. I've never been that. Like the only experience I ever had. I must have been either 16 or 17, and I was fishing with my father.
Yes.
And we were at a place just past Broadstairs called Reculver. And there is, I'm pretty sure it's the remains of an old church. I'm not sure if it's Roman or not, but on this beach as well is where they used to test the bouncing bomb for the dam busters.
Yes.
So it has quite a nice kind of history to it. So we're sat there, and it's early hours of the morning, and just waiting for the rods to have a bit of a nibble, and I can hear like this little girl, la 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 la. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And it started again, and I was like, Dad, just stop it. And he was like, what are you on about? I said, just stop it. I said, it's only me and you here. I know it's you. Bearing in mind, what we have behind us is probably about a 6-foot seawall, and then just fields all the way back. There's like a holiday park full of like caravans or trailers, if you like, over to one side, but they're not going to walk all the way through. So it stopped for a minute or so, and then it started again. And I was like, Dad, look, you're just being silly. It's just me and you. You're not going to freak me out. You're not going to get me. No, that's fine. But it ain't me. It ain't me. And then it started again. And then my dad was like, did you hear that? And I was like, that's what I thought you were doing. And he was like, no. So we both kind of stood up, looked round, run up the beach onto this seawall, looked around, and we just heard this little girl giggle, and it stopped for the rest of the night.
Cool
That is by
thing.
far the most creepiest thing that has ever happened to me in my life. And even my dad,
He's like as tough as a.
my dad
He
is a
used to be
man.
wrestling.
Boxing.
Sorry.
Yeah. My dad is a man. I must be such a perpetual disappointment to him.
And he was even terrified at that moment.
But even my dad was like, that wasn't good. I was like, no, it weren't. But then we looked into it and other bits and pieces, and it turned out that so many children had actually passed there because of the sinking sand.
Yes.
So
no
it was
wonder.
Yeah, so it was kind of creepy, and as I say, there's no way there could have been someone playing a prank or anything like that, because we would have heard a car pull up, because it's realistically one of the only ways that you're going to get to where we were. And there was nothing like that there. There was no one walking along like the sea wall or anything like that. It was so bizarre.
If you had a teddy bear, just go, here, take me teddy bear, please. Leave me alone.
Don't you find it interesting, Mika? Angie, that the app played a little girl rapping?
The only reason why I really enjoy that is that the fact I like horror stuff, but I got terrified of ghosts. And it was the point that then I realised that I was just like, they can't do no harm, so I'll just deal with it. I'm just going to get on with life with ghosts around me. Don't care. Don't really mind. But then hearing that story from Dad, and I was only 8 years old when I heard it.
Yeah.
And it terrified me at first. It's like, oh, right, okay. But mostly I didn't pay attention. But then I was just like, what's that story again, Dad? But that time I listened, because it was the point that I was just like, right, got to listen, because this is going to be important. And Dad is right, because if you could hear an engine pulling up, it would have been a very big possibility you would be able to hear the engine pull up. But hearing the fact that almost millions of children died there.
Not millions, just a few, darling.
Just a few.
Yeah.
And it seems it might have been a girl. The only reason why I'm estimating it's a girl, it's normally never a boy.
Oh, no. It was totally a girl, darling, because you could tell by the voice tone and the way that it giggled. There's totally a little girl.
And as soon as I heard that story, I could tell that was a girl. No prob. I didn't ask Daddy, oh, was that a girl? I said, and I was just like, straight away, that's a girl. That is a girl.
But I think it's interesting that you both experienced a young girl laughing. You with your personal experience, and you, Mika, with the app.
And it's also a thing called mind trick as well.
That's it. And as I say, this is the first time I've actually known anything about this or heard of it. So...
Right. But I mean, it's an
See-
interesting correlation
There we go.
that perhaps that app was working that day or providing a source.
To hear Mika say that there was this little girl laughing was a bit, oh,
Because I can estimate it, because as you can hear girls skipping down, they go la 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 la, like that normally. And to hear that, I'm just like, let's go straight away. Didn't need to estimate.
Yes.
Just like, oh, is that a girl or a boy? That's definitely a girl.
Yeah. It's very cool. I mean, from this side of the fence, it's very cool. Maybe from the other side of the fence, it would give one pause.
it was definitely, it was a head job that night. 100%. It was, yeah. I mean, two fully grown, well, 1.5 fully grown men, just sort of like, oh, we didn't need to hear that this time of the morning. It's so remote place. And
what time was it?
It was about 2. It was about 2.
So it was coming up to the witch hour. Round about witch hour.
3 a.m.
3 a.m. So
Witching
that's
hour,
1
is
hour.
3 a.m.?
Usually because that's when people have been asleep for a while and the area is calm, in my opinion. Everybody has them. But I actually think like with residual hauntings, like what you saw on that video, Mika, of the man walking, I feel like the residual hauntings are going to happen at the same time. And if you show up when it's not time for them to be doing their thing, you're not going to see them. That's why, I tell people all the time, ghost hunting in the dark is for the creep factor, primarily because people do it on TV. And it gives them a nice feeling.
They're just like, ha, got you in the trap. I'm going to do it right now, this very second, so I can creep you out. And also to hear that when you know it's a haunted pet place, because me and Dad can sense it. Well, I sense it because I've got a special ability where I can sense stuff.
You can feel things.
And then it was also another story that Granddad told me. He was going up to the castle with one of his friends, and he sneaked in, and he was going down this thing, and then his shoulder nerve actually started to go, and he's just like, oh, I don't feel safe like that. So he had to go whole way back. Because he's just like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there are many stories of obviously the
headless
castle
drummer.
where we are. Got the headless drummer, which is apparently a young boy. We have many different ones up there. I'm not sure. Did I send you the link? Because I was talking to the other day. I'm not sure if I sent you the link. If I didn't, I'll have a look through after the show. And if not, I'll send you it because there's actually a link about the haunted castle itself. So
I don't remember seeing that. I would love to, though.
Yeah, no, I'll sort it out for you.
And I just missed it because it's been a zany week. But I'm always amazed though, because why did you stop going ghost hunting?
It was just one of those things. You just kind of, life gets in the way and you start doing all these other little bits and pieces, and it's just one of those. I mean, I still love going out. I mean, like hiking and other bits and pieces. So, yeah, I mean, I like to go to these places. I really do, and I love going out night hiking.
Yes. We've done that once together.
Yeah, but obviously now you're a little bit bigger and a little bit more kind of worldly. Is there any way when you go on an investigation that you actually can control the environment? By that I mean, if there's a group of you going and you've kind of all got like a bit of a happy, jokey, smiley kind of thing going on, is there any kind of interaction with regards to like something like that?
I think that you can control your side of the environment. And you can affect your mood, you can elevate yourself, and you can do like affirmations before you go to make sure that that remains high. If it is a negative location, it's very hard to keep that pulled up, which is odd how that can affect you. You can, if you're with a group of like-minded people, you stand a better chance. But if you're by yourself, that's why ghost hunting alone is such a bad idea, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, paranormal investigation is not ghost hunting. They're two different things. I think ghost hunting is more seeking to provoke, to garner any kind of reaction that you can get to have your jollies from having the interaction. And you're not so much about how you gain it as you are just having the experience. Whereas paranormal investigation is trying to document what happened and why, and is it repeatable? Because you're trying to find a way to make this a bridge that can be, excuse me, that can be crossed here and there. So if you're positive and you're going, I think that you're going to be bringing positivity towards you. You get what you put out. If you go in and there are those who think provoking is the way to go about doing business, and it does work, but you get things you're not really wanting. So much better to be nice and kind as you go in. You may not get the response quickly, but you will get responses if they're there.
Right. No, that's cool.
Did I answer that?
Yeah, no, that was perfect, because that's going to lead me on to the next one. What's the difference between ghost hunting and investigation? So thank you very much. I'll tick that one off the list.
Okay. Stop shop.
Yeah, I'll let you get your drink. So what advice would you have? Because obviously the haunted house is always, oh, I think I've got someone in my house or something like that. I know, like, a lot of these houses, like up here, I mean, they were like made in 1903. So obviously you're going to have a lot of people which have come and gone, and some have permanently stayed. What advice would you give to anyone that thinks that they may have a haunted house, or they know they've got a haunted house? Is there anything they can do to make it easier to live with said spirit, or?
It depends on their reaction to being in a haunted location and what kind of haunting they're experiencing. If it is a residual haunting that, you know, every day at 3, Aunt Susie's going to come down those stairs in that proverbial white dress, you know, then you just know that's going to happen every day. And if you can live with that, then that's fine. If you can't live with that, because residual haunting is not self-aware, in my opinion, it's very difficult to do anything about that.
Right.
So because you can't stop it and get its attention, you can't reason with it, you can't converse with it, you can't interact at all. It simply is. So that would probably be my favorite kind of haunting to have to deal with, versus somebody that, you know, had their knickers in a twist and was just being difficult the whole day. But and there are those. I think that a residual would be fine. And it just depends on the individual who lives in that home, if they can cope with that. With other things, you can bring in investigators or a priest, if whatever faith you are, if you feel comfortable with that, then that would be the way to go, I think. But I have found that sometimes a negative entity responds poorly to clergy. So, and sometimes they wig out clergy. So, you know, it depends on what's haunting the home.
Yeah. I mean,
If
is there
it's
anything
your,
that like you? Sorry, you carry
it's okay.
on. Is there anything that like you could possibly do yourself?
Sure there is. If you're having something happen and it's not a negative, then buy some white sage, buy some frankincense and myrrh. You will love how your house smells. I'm not kidding. That stuff's wonderful.
Sage is
But
pretty good.
and it works so well. The sage only calms things. Okay. So if you can't get rid of it, you can sage your home and keep the activity level, I think, at a lower pace. The frankincense and myrrh is much more powerful, and I've been pretty successful in just setting boundaries with it. And a homeowner can take control of the situation themselves and simply say, you know what? You may have been here at one point, and you may still be here in this fashion, but this is my property and this is my home. And you're going to have to go. And I found that taking ownership helps a lot of people.
Yeah.
And if it's
And
a nasty booger, you can get somebody that's a priest or well trained in that to come in and help. There are very few that I have come across that are hideously ugly, demonic type things. I know they're there. I think they're rare. And people are always like, oh, well, deliverance ministers and, and I'm like, you know what? Yes, but if it truly is a demonic entity, there are rules that it has to live by. And there are also rules that have to be followed to contain and control it and to remove it. And the average person is not aware of those rules. But the Catholic faith has had those rules for centuries. And they seem to work.
Wow.
And every priest is trained in that, but not every priest will help you.
Mm-hmm. No, fair play. Yep.
So, may I ask, so what happens if they don't go after the first strike?
So what? I'm sorry, Mika.
So what happens if they don't go after the first strike?
Then you continue.
So it's basically like spirits.
Yeah, that's it. So the spirit, if it's here, like say for instance, and we have someone come in, it doesn't work. What do? We go to plan B. We find someone else. Again, if that doesn't work, then we carry on going through all the different things. Maybe if the priest comes once and it doesn't work, we could get maybe another priest in. Would that be correct?
Another priest. Yes.
And if that doesn't work, we won't have to go get to another country and go, hey, priest, we need you. Get in.
Not quite.
But they will sometimes say no. In fact, I interviewed somebody who's become a friend of mine. His name is Ed, and his experience is about to become a motion picture, actually. But when he was young, their first home that they purchased had activity. And he didn't know what to do about that. So they just asked the priest to come and bless their home. And while the priest was there, the flask of holy water exploded in his hands, and he would not come back.
Wow.
It flipped him out. And basically, these people were excommunicated from their parish because that priest refused to deal with the situation. And when they moved and still had activity, apparently it was a different home. They felt different activity, but their new priest in the parish they moved into would not help them either and just flat refused. And so you have to have the right priest. They all have an obligation to take care of that. And I felt that in that particular instance, the church let this family down horribly because they're still scarred by it. But it's there are steps to be taken. If it's just a spirit, if it's just a human spirit, which I don't even know the percentage, but I think almost all of them are, then it's in a residential home. Then I think that an investigator or even you can take care of it yourself. But I think if it's that small percentage of something else, you actually do need Catholic clergy to help with that.
Right.
And
Okay.
there's a lot of deliverance ministers who are very dear friends of mine that are going to be offended, and I'm so sorry, but that's my opinion.
No.
So, I'm not Catholic. I'm not endorsing anybody. I'm just saying that works.
Yeah, no. I mean, we're all Church of England, but I'm from an Irish Catholic family, so you know, we all have our own little things. I mean, you know, my grandmother and my aunties, I mean, they're very religious. They're at church every week. You know, my mum is still quite strong in her faith, but she's also strong enough to know that there's things out there that can't be explained. So that's
Yes.
kind of cool. I've got a top boss mum. Really have.
She's in the chat room.
Oh, mum's in the chat room. Hi, mum. Hi. Right. Well, I should have passed you over for questions about 10 minutes ago, but I don't know about you, but I'm actually having really good fun here.
I actually am. Even though I hate ghosts, and I was just like, I don't want to. I can't do this. Eventually, I was just like, you know what? Even though I hate ghosts, I'll do it anyway
Yeah.
because they're just like, there's no way I'm letting down guests because
Well, it's not just that. There's a way that Kat explains everything as well.
Yeah.
It's more easy. Again, this is why we're doing the beginner's guide, so
And-
everyone can break it down. Everyone can be more comfortable with the information that we're putting out as well.
and it doesn't have to worry me because where there was like this all heavy information of just ghosts, bam, straight on that table, and you're just like, hang on a sec, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So, like, I used to believe in ghosts, but then I was just like, I'll back out. I've done. But then as soon as Dad told me the story, I was just like, I'll start again.
Yeah.
See how that goes.
So, right.
It's
okay.
difficult when you're very young, but
Yeah.
now you're at the age of reason, and I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, and he's quite wise beyond his years as well, so that's also
Yes.
another little bonus.
I actually am.
What do you want to do? Would you like to go to questions now, or do you want to carry on chatting for a little bit longer? Because I'm loving this.
We can do questions and chat, right? We can chat about the
I'll tell you what,
question.
I'll pass you on to questions, and then if it's all right with you, we'll go for a little bit of overtime afterwards.
I'm fine. We'll
Kat,
just
you're
go.
amazing.
All right.
All right, I'm going to pass you around to Sarah. See you in a bit, sweetheart.
Okay.
And there she is.
Hi, Sarah.
Seamless transition.
Hello. We have had so many questions.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Have you got
I
enough
am.
drink? Do you need to grab any more water or anything, Kat?
I will take a drink. Go ahead.
Okay.
Listen.
Our first question is from Suzanne, and she's asked if you've ever been to the George and Pilgrim in Glastonbury. Have you ever been to the UK?
I have never been to the UK, but hi, Suzanne. Thank you for that question. But I've not been there yet. I'm working on this fall. But
Okay,
I've not.
fabulous. Mum, who's in the chat room, she has asked, can ghosts copy voices?
Can what?
Can the spirits copy voices?
Yes.
They can
They can.
imitate other voices.
Yes, a friend of mine was at the Old South Pittsburgh Hospital here. You would have seen that if you watched any of the ghost television shows. And his voice came out of the spirit box. So he heard himself asking him something.
Wow.
That's
Very creepy. I thought it was very creepy.
Yeah. Suzanne has just said that she actually stayed there once at the George in Glastonbury, and something pulled her hair, which is why she was asking.
Okay.
So there we go. John, has asked, do you know about the Hat Man?
About
The Hat Man.
What have gone sideways?
Here we call him Slender Man. I don't know if that is the same thing. But the Slender Man actually came from urban legend and had so much energy put into it that the opinion of some people I've spoken with is that it was manifested by the energy that people put into this internet legend. So if the Slender Man and the Hat Man are the same, then that's the instance.
Okay. Sophia, who has sadly left, she's actually asked whether you like or have ever heard Michael Jackson.
I do like Michael Jackson. Like the singer?
Yes.
As in Thriller?
Yes.
As in da, 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 da. Yes, I do like I do. I can do the hands and everything.
Jazz
But-
hands. Woo!
Oh, I know, but I can't hit it as high as he did. The note. So
Yeah. Seems to be quite a fan and says that she actually had his spirit living with her.
really, I have heard other people who said that they have interacted with him. So maybe he liked his fans.
Quite possibly. Mike has asked, are some shadow people misunderstood instead of evil?
I don't think that shadow people are necessarily evil. I think that shadow people are probably spirits who cannot fully manifest as apparitions because that takes a lot of energy.
Okay.
And I have very rarely come across something that I felt was evil while I've done this. So I think it may be an energy issue as opposed to a good, bad, or indifferent issue.
Okay. Mike again has asked, what was your most incredible experience?
Oh, I've had a couple of them. Last summer, I had gone to an event here in the U.S. called Scarefest in Louisville, Kentucky. And I left from there and went to Ohio because I was going to broadcast a live radio show. So the place was called the Old Paulding Jail. It's owned by Shelley Burke Robertson. It's a brilliant location. If anyone is ever here in the central U.S., great place. But when I went to do my show, I'm always hardwired. I took my computer to the third floor, which is very active. I had a 50-foot LAN cable, so everywhere I went, I was hardwired. Upstairs was fine, and that's a very haunted area. Even Shelley won't stay there. When we went down to the jail cells, the first floor jail cells in this jail, a man was found hung there, and it was never really clear if he had hung himself, which would not have been reasonable. He was simply there on a child support hold, or if someone did that to him. But that was the only table, and I set my laptop on that table, and chaos broke out. I was online, connected with my producer. I was with someone else's network at the time. It was bizarre. The whole place was noise. There were stomping of feet. There were cell doors that sounded, and I'm looking at them, they're not moving, but they sounded like they were being slammed and slung and slammed and slung. There are fire doors that are surrounded by razor wire outside because it's not been that long that it's been an inactive place. They still had the wire up, and there are fire doors and fire stairs, and those steel doors were being banged on. And my computer is showing that I don't have any connectivity. So my electronics are being messed with. And I was just like, leave my computers alone. I have to have that. And what is wrong with you? You know, because I've been there before to investigate. So my producer said, "You're still connected. I'm recording this. So I'll let you know if you need to get out," basically. So I'm sitting there saying, "You need to stop. You need to stop." And I'm getting as mad as they are, right? I mean, it was just really like, so I just gave up. My producer said, "You need to leave that area now." So I don't know what he heard. But often EVPs will travel through equipment like the digital voice recorders, and you can't hear it, but somebody with the headphones live listening can. So I picked up my computer and I told Shelly to go and open, maybe make some coffee, I think I said, and I would work on my computer. I took it, walked out of the jail cell, and it worked like a champ. Wow. And I took it and put it in the office, and I went into the kitchen and I said, "You need to turn your portal on." She has a piece of equipment that's a very big voice box, basically. And she was like, "What?" I said, "Turn that on, please. We need to have a conversation." And she turned it on, and she knows all the spirits there. She's there all the time. She spends the night. I spend the night there. They've never messed with me before. And she said, "Who was messing with Kat's equipment?" And you heard this snarky little voice come out of the voice box. So you could just picture somebody with their hand on their hip. And said, "I am. I did." And I was like, "Why would you do that?" And basically, it's because I set my computer on the table where Gary hung himself. Like his feet were on that table. And it was disrespectful. And they were angry. Wow. Completely. And so, the conversation went on a bit. I explained, I'm, driving 15 hours to be here, and this is what you're going to do, and I'm trying to help you. We're trying to raise attention that this is a paranormal research center that was going to be torn down before she bought this, and this is how you thank her. And, I said, "I'm not here for my help. I'm here to help you have a roof. What's going to happen to you if this comes down?" And you heard the whole voice changed, and it was like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Well, yes, really." And Shelly said, "Can we do the show?" And they said, "Absolutely not." And she said, "How about from the third floor?" And I said, "That'd be all right." So we did the whole show from the third floor and had EVPs and stuff. But I mean, I spent the night there that night. The funny thing, when I left, every so often my Sirius will skip in the Jeep I had at the time. And I was leaving, and it had been a Kenny Chesney song. And it skipped like a blip. And the song was an Alison Krauss song, and it said, and the title of it was "Ghost in This House," as I was pulling out of the parking lot of the jail the next morning. Wow. So either they were telling me good riddance, you, or they were just saying bye. But I thought that was funny. I took a picture of it and sent it to my friend who owns the jail. But that was the most, so it never dawned on me that I would get hit. I was worried they were going to hit my computer, right? So yeah, it was freaky. It was bizarre.
Absolutely.
And I'm always very respectful when I go there. It's that experience. Yeah. I thought it was big anyway, so there you go. But it was very disconcerting.
Okay. Wow. Jasmine has asked, can you expand on the occasion you brought a bad spirit home?
I can. It wasn't bad. It was annoying. There's a difference. Yes. It didn't harm me. It didn't harm any of my animals. It was simply annoying. But I had been to a place called Fort Morgan. I had been doing a voice box session with the SB7 spirit box and having a conversation with several different voices. And one kept coming to the front, like insisting on being the one that was being heard. And I said, could you bring the woman forward, please? And said, why? And I said, because I'm a woman. I want to talk to another woman. What's wrong with that? So finished up, did not really do a lot of protection when I left because I was still new. But I did say, I'm going home. You have to stay here. This is where you live. I'm going to my sanctuary. Thank you so much for your time. And I'll see you the next time I come back. And I left. And when I got home, at the time I lived in a little house by our shop. Well, we were staying in a little house by our shop. And I came out of the shower and came through the kitchen going to my bedroom because it was like a way, different. So when I hit the kitchen, I smelled cigarette smoke. And I was like, oh, no. And my bedroom door was closed. And this is America. We do have weapons. And especially women who stay in homes alone sometimes do keep something handy in case of an invasion. And it was in the bedroom where the door was closed that hadn't been closed when I got in the shower. And I was like, I'm going to so die. This is going to be so ugly. And I don't even have my bathrobe. So I took a knife out of the drawer and I pushed the door open really fast. There was no one there. There was no one in the whole house. And it was very frightening. And then I plugged my hairdryer into a brand new outlet and it started arcing. And then there were other electrical issues with arcing. And then, my dogs obviously were interacting with something that wasn't there. And I was just like, this is too weird. And then my daughter mentioned about bringing my work home with me. It was actually very easy. He knew he wasn't supposed to be there. He was just going to be there until I told him to go. And I had to be pointed out by a 14-year-old that that's what I needed to do. So I did.
It's so wise, aren't they?
Right. Thank goodness we had them.
Yeah, right. Brilliant.
They're not just great with technology.
Yes.
Okay. John has asked, for protection, what about salt?
I use salt around entryways and windows when I've cleansed a home, when I've asked the spirit to leave and smudged or with whatever I smudge with, then you can seal the house. And I really don't know why that works. I have no idea why that works, but it works like a champ. And definitely when we finish with a home, we suggest salting every window and every doorway.
Is that just normal table salt?
Regular table salt will be fine. Yes. And because that pink Himalayan is too expensive to do that with.
Yes.
Although I like it. But yes, regular table salt is fine. It doesn't matter if it's ionized or not. It's just the salt.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very strange. Jason Goldthorpe has asked, have you had experience with psychic abilities?
I have had experiences with other psychics, and I have had occasion where I exhibited psychic abilities. It's always disconcerting. I had a case that I could not figure out. I knew that there was something that felt very negative in a young man's bedroom. I didn't know what to do with it. It was beyond my experience. A friend of mine who has been a shaman for a very long time and is a psychic, and she's very well known. She's got a lot of clients from your side of the pond as well as here. Said, well, I can remote view. If you'll just use your cell phone, I can help you with that. And I said, okay, that sounds very weird, but okay. So I went to the location with my cell phone in my hand, Everyone else left the house, which made me more nervous, but they were out on the deck. And we went through that house, and it was so odd because the first thing, I'm on my phone, and the first thing she said is, "What is wrong with that furniture? Why is that so weird?" I said, "It's not weird. It's the conversation set. The couch and the love seat in front of the fireplace, and very lovely." And then I realized that the chair was not where it was supposed to be. It was behind the love seat, set up with a lamp for reading. And I said, "Oh, it's a reading area." And then it dawned on me that she had seen that that was different, right? And it just confused her because it didn't look the way it was supposed to. And I was like, oh, maybe this really is happening. And so she said, "Okay, you need to turn right and go down this hallway," which is where I had thought I was feeling the activity. And I knew it was bad, which is why I didn't know what to do with it. And so I was like, "I really don't want to go that way. Isn't there something somewhere else in this house?" And she said, "Turn right and go down the hallway." And so I started, and she said, "You need to calm down. You're going to have palpitations and pass out. You need to get your breathing under control and your heart rate under control. Just take a minute." And that's when I was just so wigged out. And I went down the hall, and she said, "Open the closet." And I was like, "Oh, I knew you were going to say that." So I opened the closet, and she was like, "What is that has a bird on it?" It was a little boy's closet. There's no birds. And I said, "I got nothing. I don't see anything." She said, "Okay, you need to start saying the Lord's Prayer. I'm going to take care of this, but you need to protect yourself." And I was so nervous, I forgot how to even begin. And she was like, "Are you kidding me?" She's like, "Our Father." I was like, "Oh, thank you." So I'm saying that. And a few minutes later, she says, "Oh, it's falling." And I'm like, "On me?" And she's like, No, to where it needs to be." So she had banished it, and apparently it was heading home, whatever it was. And we went to another room, and she said, "Okay, there is something in here. You need to open the window." And I said, "There's not a window." She said, "There has to be a window. It's a bedroom. There's always a point of egress." I said, "There's sliding glass doors." She said, "The window." So I'm like, "There is not a window in this room." She said, "Look behind that dresser mirror." There was a mirror behind the dresser mirror. And so I opened it, and she did her thing, and she said, "Quick, close it." I wasn't asking any more questions. I was like, bam, it's closed. But so that was my experience with a psychic. And wow. She helps with people who are missing, particularly children who are missing. And she sees from the victim's point of view, where she has a friend who sees from the perpetrator's point of view. And she said, "I would never want to do that. I would never want to see what is happening. I would much prefer to be with that child or that person while it's happening." So, different psychics have different skills. She has a lot of skills. And I've had moments where what I can do came to the fore. And it's not nearly that dramatic, but that was an extreme psychic experience. But I'm glad I had. I didn't believe in it.
Wow. Okay. John has asked, could some hauntings be time slips where we think we are seeing a ghost, but the ghost we see is seeing us as a ghost?
I totally think so. I believe in string theory. The only thing that I have trouble resolving string with is that, if you got, I'm going to, like this is chaos, right? And then every so often it's like, boop. there's a ghost, and it goes back, right? And I am stealing that from someone who will not care. But that totally, I believe is possible, except for residual hauntings, because there's no way you can explain residual hauntings with string theory, because it's the same place every time. It can't be chaos.
Yeah.
Right? It is a true energy signature. So I do believe in time slips. I believe that I've experienced them from both sides. And I think that there are certain places that that's more likely to happen.
Okay. That's very interesting. Dexter has asked, what do you suggest for knowing past spirits are present, but other than heart, I don't seem to hear or visualize and communication? Is there ways of opening a line of communication other ways?
If you are having difficulty doing it in the way that is normal for you, you're not supposed to do it.
Okay.
It shouldn't be difficult. And there's some things you're supposed to leave alone.
That's fair enough. Okay.
Can I add to that?
Yes, of course you may.
Sometimes it's not that no one should bother it. Sometimes it's simply that that's not yours to handle.
Okay.
Okay? You're not the person. That's not your color Kool-Aid.
That makes sense. Okay.
Okay.
John has asked, what do you think of all the ghost hunting shows? And do you have any favourites or ones you dislike?
Oh dear. I know a lot of people on a lot of ghost hunting shows. Okay. I particularly, and this is going to sound odd because I think he thinks I don't like him. I like Chris Smith, who is the leader of the Tennessee Wraith Chasers. I like him because he is serious.
What's the camera?
Oh, I've gone amok.
Oh, it's me.
It's okay. It's okay.
I've always wanted to say that.
Yep. No, sorry about that. Oh, it's all gone wrong.
I've always wanted to say that.
I'm watching that. Yeah, I've watched that gone down as well.
Hang on, there we go. I'm running this. I know. Hello.
As well.
I just running it through my cell phone, and there we go. And my battery had started to go dead, so I went to go and plug it in, and it flipped out of my tripod. So professional. So professional.
He looks there.
Right. Okay. Hang on a second. You're nearly back in the cradle. There we go. Cat in the cradle. Oh! See what I did there? Did you see what I did?
I did see what you did.
Oh, that was awful. So awful. I'm so sorry. Right, how do I get it around the right way?
Just leave it alone. Don't.
There we go. There we go.
Get
right.
Away.
Okay, I'm trying to get it sorted. Sorry, Cat.
Leave it alone.
Right. Oh, sorry, Mum.
You're tragic.
Right. Yes, I am.
No. You're pointing it the wrong way.
I got to use the word amok. I'm happy. It was a great thing.
There we go.
Okay. Back to the shows.
Oh, back to the show?
Oh,
the haunting shows.
Yeah,
I absolutely do think that Chris Smith is a professional. I think that a lot of people recognize that in him. He is almost driven to bring this format to the public. He has actually been, I believe, on 6 television shows. He started, he was on Ghost Hunters Academy, and they invited him back, to finish the competition, and he chose to go out on his own and do it his way. I respect that. It's not very often that people will walk away from that.
Yeah.
So I do greatly admire him. I think that one of the issues that I have with the standard haunted shows is that they are for entertainment only. And everybody slams Zach Bagans. Zach was a theater major who got a chance to do Ghost Adventures. And he has made it into the most watched paranormal show that there is. The only problem that I personally have is that I felt provocation is dangerous. And because Zach is so popular and so well liked and actually beloved by his fans, I feel that they emulate him. They want to emulate him. They want to be him. So when they approach ghost hunting, they use his methods. And I think a lot of people get in trouble because not everyone has demonologists at their disposal. Okay. And for what he gets into, sometimes we've all seen that happen, that he needs them. And so when somebody is wanting to be a ghost hunter and that's their role model, not because he's not a good person, but because of the methods he uses, I think it's dangerous. I think he's a great person, but I think that not everybody should ever try to investigate. I don't think anyone should investigate like that. But he is in a time crunch. They have just so long to get evidence. And that does get, when I said that you have to be careful how you investigate because you don't know, if you do it a certain way, you're going to get what you're not wanting. If you kick in the door and you're yelling at somebody in the house, they're going to attack you. And I think that's what happens a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, but therefore, they're entertainment. And I don't watch them.
No. Someone in the chat has just said, it was John that just said, Zach is actually getting darker as the show goes on.
He said what?
Zach is getting darker as the show goes on.
He is. And I think that is not by design. I've been to his museum and seen the objects that he has. And a lot of those he had in his home. And things got so active that he quit keeping them at home and took them to the museum. So I think that I think things might be catching up a little bit. Mm-hmm. You can't live as a provocateur without repercussions, I don't think.
No, of course not. Wow. Okay, well they are all the questions that I have got from the chat rooms so far.
I've got one. Is there on a team, is there any kind of special way of having like a team together, like what you just said about having a demonologist and things like that? Are these essential to an investigation team, Kat?
They're not essential. It's nice if you have someone who has psychic abilities or mediumship abilities, which are not the same.
Yeah.
If you have someone who can see and speak to the dead, then, what do the rest of us need to be there for except to document that, right? But it's so nice, I think. If I were a dead person, I would be hunting those people if I had something to say. Mm-hmm. I really would. Amy Allen is the real deal. Amy Allen is a medium. And she probably has psychic abilities too, but they reach out to her sometimes before she even goes to the locations. You can see it as she's pulling in. They're already reaching to her. They're pulling her to them. Not all mediums are psychic, but I don't know that all psychics aren't part medium. So it never hurts to be able to have people that can help you with that. but a demonologist is so rarely, in my opinion, needed that it's not an imperative to have a demonologist on your team. But you need people that know how to use the equipment correctly. You need people that know what is and isn't actual equipment that will work with ghosts.
Right, cool. Okay. Anything else from the chat room?
No, that is it at the moment.
Right. Okay, so let's
back to the boys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We'll swing it round and hopefully not drop the phone again.
Oh, be careful.
I'm talking about. I'm teasing. Hi, kid.
Why you do that? Why you do that? Right, spin it round, look.
I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
No, I'm cool with that. In the history of the show, that has never happened. It really hasn't.
Guess what? It happened tonight.
I know. Great, huh? Right, Kat.
It's a paranormal topic.
Yeah, we are going to go normal now. Why
Yes.
don't you tell the audience what else you do? Tell us about Fate magazine. Tell us about WBHM.
Oh, thank you. Well,
No.
WBHM Digital Broadcasting is out of Birmingham, Alabama, and it is my radio network. I have been fortunate to be on 3 other networks in the course of doing my show, Paranormal Experienced. And the last producer just showed up on Facebook one day. I was going to be interviewing George Norrie in 2 days. Big deal. And he posted on Facebook, not through email or text message or phone call or anything, that he was going into rehab for 600 days and we would not be doing any more long shows, live shows.
Wow.
And I was like, quite a rehab. So obviously he meant the 60, I think, but he just disappeared. And I panicked. So I bought all the software known to man, threw it all at the wall to see what would stick, and managed to get an interview with George Norrie and my friend Tom Conwell, done that night. And George was brilliant. He was the consummate gentleman and professional, and he did not, do anything to indicate that he knew what a terrible night I was having. He's great. We talked after that. We saw each other at an event, and he was just as perfect then too. But so that's where WBHM Digital Broadcasting came from. I've been the host of Paranormal Experienced Radio for 4.5 years now. That's a long time in this stuff. And it's so much fun. I get to learn every week. I get to talk to people that know a lot more than I do about a lot of things. And I'm an avid note taker. So I have gone through some notebooks. I got to be the host of Fate Magazine Radio because the producer I mentioned was the host of that show. And he left Fate Magazine in the lurch like he did everyone else. And took the passwords, took all the coding knowledge, took everything with him when he left. It didn't share any of that with anyone. And just kind of made quite a mess. So a few months later, I had told the owner of Fate Magazine that if she wanted me to, I would run some ads for her on my network. And then a few months later, she called and said, my spirit guides told me that you are supposed to be the host of this show forever and always. Would you like to do it? And I was like, wow, that's a lot. I mean, it's a big show. And I said, who am I to argue with spirit guides? And travel dolls. She had also talked to her travel dolls. So it was cool because I knew what those were and had a set. So that was kind of like a synchronicity thing. And so I've done it ever since. I try my very best every time to bring somebody with knowledge to share and she's been fantastic with suggestions, and it's really a neat thing. I love doing the show, and I love being affiliated with Fate.
Yep, no, and it is a good show as well. I mean, we've listened to it as well. We will be putting a link in the description of the show as well. So, already done. So if you want to go over and hear Kat's latest, which is very, 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 very cool, then we highly recommend it as well, because we sat and we listened to it the other night as well. So yeah, so we got that. So what about Fate magazine, Kat?
Oh, well, the website is www.fatemag.com, which is why I shortened the show to Fate Mag Radio to, run with Phyllis like that. And I have new copies with me that I'm going to be taking to events to distribute, a few here and there. But if you want to submit, you can go to the webpage. If you want to subscribe, you can go to the webpage. It's wonderful. You can get it right in your inbox. So it's been in business since 1948.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time for a magazine, and it's really cool. I've gotten a chance to peruse some of the older ones, and it's still just as good as it ever was. I love it.
Now, here's a really funny thing. I had a Skype call last week with next week's guest, who's doing our beginner's guide to ufology. He has a Fate magazine poster on his wall.
Cool.
I joke you not, Mr. Philip Mantle, if you're out there in the audience or you're watching this at a later date, you can confirm this, because I said that we had you coming on. And he was like, Hobson. I said, yeah, Fate magazine, radio. He was like, I've got a Fate magazine poster up here in behind your cell phone that we were talking through.
Yes.
And I thought that was just the most craziest thing ever. What are the chances of that? I've got you this week, him next week, but yet he's got a Fate magazine poster.
He should come on Fate Mag. That would be fun.
He is a truly amazing guy. He really is. This is the book that he sent us. Are you familiar with Philip?
I am.
Yep, absolutely. As I say, we've got him coming on to do next week's ufology, and I'm sure he'd relish the chance to be able to come on the show as well, Kat. So if you want, are you friends with him on Facebook?
Yes.
Fantastic.
If we're not, we should be, and we will. So,
yeah, absolutely.
But I think he's brilliant. All of your people that are doing this series, you selected amazing people to come and do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the psychic one, I mean, there was no doubt that I had to have our friend Sabrina Campbell for that, because I don't know if you've seen Sabrina before, but she is truly amazing. And then to have our friend Sue and Otter do the telepathy one. We love those guys so much, we really do. And Beast of Britain, they approached us, and yeah, absolutely, because we know nothing about cryptids. So for us, again, as well as tonight, is another learning process. I mean, at the moment, I can't get it. I can't get it up. It's on my phone. There was a thing in the newspaper today that within 2 parts of the UK at the moment, there are Black Panthers on the loose. There's been, I think, 5 dogs, some cats, 5-inch paw prints found, and a few other bits and pieces. I took a couple of screenshots on my cell phone at work, so if you want, I can send those to you after the show as well to peruse. But I just thought that was, again, really uncanny. Everything just seems to be happening in such sort of synchronicity at the moment. It really does.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah,
well, yes, I would love to see those.
Yep. Obviously, you might need to zoom in, but it is from today's daily newspaper in the UK, so I'm sure it'll be a fish wrapper tomorrow. Right. Yeah. So, Kat, is there anyone that you want to give a big shout out to, or anything that you'd like to tell people about before we end?
Well, I would love to say how much I love my dogs who are going crazy behind me at the moment.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, that's cool.
I have a friend who helps me with everything, and he is a brilliant paranormal investigator. His name is Frank Lee, and he has helped me through every step of this process. He is my tech guy for WBHM Digital Broadcasting. He is my friend. He is somebody that I've investigated with for years, and he is the founder of, I am so sorry.
No, it's all right. Dougie's taking note now. He's up and he's sort of like giving me a dog.
Somebody rang the bell. So somebody rang the doorbell. But I don't know where their dad is, but he's going to be in trouble. But at any rate, it's just wonderful when you have somebody that does everything to help you. You know, with the WBHM DB stuff, it would be Shelley Burke Robertson, who also is the owner of the Old Paulding Jail, but she has done so much to help me. And she has a show on Friday nights called Ghost Talk Radio, and she's been there the whole time. We were together on our previous network, and people are kind. You know, I know that people, especially right now, there's such chaos in the world and there's such animosity and people get flipped out about things and whatever, but people will be kind if you're kind in turn.
Yeah.
I think that is probably what I would like people to take from me, is that I've never done this stuff before, the radio stuff. I've always shown up and talked and gone home. And I've had my radio network now for almost a year. And I'm so fortunate and so thankful for people like you who are so supportive. And I love this opportunity to talk with y'all. Mika, you are a trip, and I love this. Thank you. So, and
Yeah,
I hope that next week is just as fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, to do what we do, I mean, don't hit me on the head. We are genuinely in such a fantastic position to be able to meet like the most wonderful people, and it's great because the amount of people that we've kind of gone on to like have a chat with and do shows with, you know, they go on to become quite very, very good personal friends, and you find yourself constantly sort of like doing bits and pieces with them, throwing ideas with them, expand. And that's one thing that I've really, really enjoyed the most about being like a presenter of a show. It still freaks me out when I say that, but yeah, being the presenter. And
I know, right?
Yeah, I know. And to
We're
have
so
like
fortunate.
yeah, absolutely. And the same as like our audiences as well. I mean, our audience is fantastic in so many ways. They've stuck with us through everything. That, you know, they're personal friends as well as just an audience, and that's what we like the most. I mean,
Yes.
as you know yourself, we don't use the word interview. We hate the word interview. It's not, you're not going for a job or anything like that. We like to have a chat. Yeah. You know, that's why we relocate to the lounge. Yeah. We relocate to the lounge to make it more homely. You know, so
we've gone from pretty much every room in the house. We've gone to Dad's bedroom, to the kitchen, and now to the lounge.
That's why we started our podcast in my bedroom, weren't it?
And then guess what? We're going back to Dad's room.
Once I've built my radio studio up there and I finally get something up and running, or like an offer from somewhere, then fine, I'll get it up and running, and then like my bedroom again will become my recording studio or my broadcast room. So a lot to play for.
I did 3 months of radio from my bed because I fell. And I did 3 months of podcasts. Actually, no, they were all live shows. Yeah, it was a trip. So it worked. That's why I bought this, lovely microphone stand that's a floor stand, so that it could not get tossed about when I moved. So you do.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Is that a Yeti?
Oh, it is a Yeti. Yes.
It is.
I like it.
Get away from it.
Yeah, no, that's our next microphone, a Yeti. Well, we've got a snowball at the moment.
Yeah, I started with a snowball and I loved it. And so when it went kaput on me, that's what I got with this. Oh, mine was white, but yes, that's what I had. And
So,
they're brilliant microphones.
yeah, well, we're planning
Mine
on
lasted 4
starting
years.
our podcast this Thursday.
It's been a little bit late.
We've had a few delays along the way. We've had some technical issues. It's been an absolute headache. So Sarah's hitting the internet this week really, really hard to find out how we're going to make bits and pieces work. And hopefully Thursday evening, we should be able to release our first podcast, which is going to be called Pearson's in the Podcast. And that will be Thursday evening on Anchor FM. Fingers crossed.
Yes. I'm so excited.
It is.
Yeah.
Mika, what are you doing?
Proper family show we're on at the moment.
Yeah, that's it. The first family of Fringe, I think we've become.
And that's a brilliant thing.
Absolutely. And
Totally brilliant.
that's what we wanted to do right from the off. To have like a nice family show, and just have fun with it. Because again, as you were saying, yeah, and learn. That's what it's all about. Bringing the knowledge, finding the knowledge, sharing the knowledge, bringing people together, having fun, love, promote, and support 100% every time.
Well, people can find me on Facebook too. I neglected to say this. We have a WBHM-DB friends and fans page.
Yep.
Paranormal Experienced has a like page, and Fate Mag Radio also. But it's just fun.
Yeah.
So I love doing all these things. And I have had so much fun in the page where we met, right? Sixth Sense Media. So there's a lot of good people out there.
There are. And the thing is as well, is I don't know about you, but I genuinely feel at the moment there's a shift of some kind happening.
Yes.
And everyone is just kind of being brought, everyone that's meant to be is just gradually being brought together. And that's a very, very cool thing.
Yes, it is. It's neat to be a part of that, isn't it?
It is. So, Kat Hobson, from all of us here, Sarah and Dougie.
What?
Yes.
And
bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mika.
Well, I'm going to tell you that as of this moment, I love me some Pearsons. Thank you.
And we love us a bit of Hobson too.
Thank you. But this has been wonderful.
Yep. And it was your first one as well.
Yes, it is.
No nerves. Or was there?
Just a good time.
It's all right. You were friends. There's no one else watching or anything. It's only us.
Yes. The nerves were before this. The nerves were before this call.
Thank you so much, sweetheart.
Thank you.
All right. We look forward to speaking to you again soon after the show. All right, babe?
Yes, totally. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Bye, Kat.
Bye.
Right. Have we got anything coming through, Seth?
No.
Oh, you're going to need to hit your off button, babe.
This is my first hangout. There we go.
The red button.
You got it.
Got it. Bye.
Bye, darling.
Bye.
Right. Anything else from anywhere else?
No.
Oh, no. We still got Kat.
Yeah.
We still got her.
I can't go away. There we go. Got it. Bye.
Third time lucky.
Yay!
Fantastic. That was brilliant.
Dozy.
What an amazing
Let's bring it round to Sarah. Sarah,
what an amazing conversation. And great questions from the chat. Thank you so much for all tuning in and with our beginner's guide. Let's hope we've certainly answered some of your questions, some of your queries, and a bit more knowledge of the paranormal.
Is there anything that you've taken away from it?
Oh, a hell of a lot.
Because you used to like watching the paranormal show. When we first got together, we used to watch a lot of paranormal shows, didn't we?
Yes, we do. I've actually got into the actual paranormal, which is a US series, which I knew about the salt from that. I didn't realize that it was actually true that spirits cannot cross salt. So that was actually quite amazing, and some of the information, yeah, quite astounding. So yes, brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Right, here we go, and round to us. Raw. So, how was that for you?
That was all right.
Has it made you feel a bit better about the paranormal, chatting with Kat?
Yes, it was.
Hey, Doug. And how did you feel about having Kat as the guest for Explain Our Paranormal? Coming up here.
It was lovely. I quite enjoyed it.
Here we go. Fascination Street Dog in the house.
Well, we're back. It caught me on. You heard nothing, okay?
Yeah. It's all good. So that was it. That was our first one. And our shout outs for this week is Natasha Nix from Mysterious Forces Live. Our friend
Stitt.
Erik Stitt from
Dave
Erik Stitt Art.
Partridge from
Shadows of Your Mind magazine. Brett Larson from Inquire Within. Ray and Dennis from Sixth Sense Media. A special thank you to Mike Schwartz for donating to our PayPal fund. Very, very generous indeed, you naughty, naughty, naughty boy. You did get a wrench out of it. So if anyone wants a wrench, if you donate to the PayPal, which is in the link below the show, no, I'm just joking. We do have PayPal. What we've done is we've set it up so we can bring you a better show.
not just like this show now. We're meaning like a better show.
In future, yeah, we want to bring you a better show. We want to bring you good content. We're using the money to help use different platforms. The first bit of money we're making at the moment is going towards a camera to help us when we go out on location to do things. And as YouTube have totally and thoroughly screwed all small shows at the moment with subscriptions under 1,000, we can't go live through YouTube while we're on location.
YouTube.
Yeah, thanks YouTube.
We appreciate
you plumbo. So yeah, we can't actually go live on YouTube in any of the locations because we're going to Dover Castle this week, and we'd actually planned to do some live streaming. And we were
so now what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to literally get our recording system all up and running, and we're going to have to like go into the tunnels with like our flashlights on. So it's going to be horrible.
Yeah, so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to record little segments and upload them to YouTube when we get home. So if there's anything from Dover Castle that you'd like to see, message either Sarah or myself, and we can make sure that we get that done and get it on there for you. So to finish off, we want to thank Ray and Dennis at Sixth Sense Media who put us and Kat in contact. Any of the new viewers, we'd like to thank you for giving us your time, and also a special shout out to the audience that's always with us and support us with everything we do. So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Everyone have a fantastic week, and we will see you next Saturday when we are bringing you Philip Mantle. And he's not just any ufologist. He is an awesome ufologist. He's an author. He's presented shows. He's been on telly. And he also has his own publishing house called Flying Disc Press. The links will be going out probably tomorrow. As for everything from Kat's show, it'll be in the show description. And the social media communities I will post on our fan page on Facebook. If you're not on there, do you know what? I'll just post it on my normal Facebook page. No, I'm going to put it on the normal Facebook page, then repost it to the fan page. So everyone, thank you very much for giving us your time. We love you very, very much. And we'll see you next Saturday.
Bye, guys.
See ya.